Welcome everyone for being here. I'm so excited. I have to breathe just to calm and contain my emotion, but I'm excited and I know that we're gonna get so much value and we're gonna enjoy ourselves today. Just quickly share my screen here. So I would like to start with a question, and how many of you have asked yourself or have other people ask you, just be satisfied, just be okay with what you have, be thankful with what you have. And we constantly just like tell that to ourselves, or other people tell us that. And we just gotta get wrapped up in that way of thinking, because we look at our lives and we feel that there's got to be more, there's something that may be missing, or that we want to achieve the next level of whatever would make us feel happy and complete and satisfied. So these are questions that I know I've asked that for myself. Looking at my family, at my relationship, I've seen everything in my surrounding and still have that underlying question whether there's got to be more. So I'm going to come back to this question, but for the moment, I'm going to pause because eventually it's going to make a little more sense. So what can be expected from this webinar, from this orientation presentation, and is to learn a little bit some concepts around wealth, abundance, and net worth that we tend to use interchangeably. However, they have a little bit of a difference deep down and the way that we process that at a psychological level. So it's helpful for us to know the differences between these concepts. Why? Because then we get to identify other things that may be getting in the way of us achieving our desires when it comes to having an abundant life, when it comes to having wealth, and a feeling that our net worth is limitless. And in addition to that, not only we're going to identify the things that get in the way, such as scarcity mindset, but how can we actively co-create a life where we feel abundant and we function at an abundance mindset. So hopefully these says will make a little more sense as we move along. But before, here's a simple definition of what abundance is. But I would like this to be a little more interactive, and would love to see some people text in the chat what comes to mind whenever you hear the word abundance. Because it's a very short definition that I'm presenting here, but it's on purpose because I would like to hear from you, like, what comes to mind? Successful, having more than you need. Okay, Maribel, I love that. We're gonna go back to that. Plenty. Maritza, thank you. Thank you all for commenting. Absolutely. So many different things come when we hear the word abundance. Do any of you having a limited potential? Sandy, absolutely. Do any of you correlate the term abundance with wealth or net worth? Type yes or no. Yes. Okay, I have one yes, yes. Absolutely. Do you know the difference between abundance, wealth, and net worth? And if so, in one word, what's the differentiation that comes to mind whenever you hear the word abundance, wealth, and net worth? And if not, then you can just say that they're all the same for you. Okay, good. Thank you, Sandy. So here are what we can expect from net worth and wealth. Not what we can expect, but pretty much the definitions, right? Wealth is different for every person because it encompasses what we value most. Think about money, right? The first thing that comes to mind when we think about abundance, when we think about wealth, when we think about net worth, we kind of like correlate that with money. However, let me just present you a picture, a scenario with you having all the money in the world, but being at the North Pole without no humans, without access to no resources, no shelter. What good is that money for you in that situation, right? That's where we can actually see money for what it is, and is what facilitates transaction to get us access to what we actually deep down as humans believe that is wealth for us. And what are these things? Of course, money, because it's one of the many ways that we can access what we crave, what we desire in life. But relationships, time, and purpose are the ultimate reasons why people do whatever they want to do, why people want to achieve money, because they want to feel that they belong. They want to feel that they have the time in the world for them to do everything that they desire and they hope for. And they want to live in purpose. Say, going back to what I was sharing with you guys at the beginning, I had relationship, over 20 years of marriage, 3 amazing daughters. I even had a cat. I had the house, the job, but still something was missing. And it was because at that point in my life, the purpose part of the wealth, I felt that I didn't have the access. And I started to think about like getting a doctor's degree. I actually even started it, but still found in the process that this could be it. There has to be more than this. And when we have money, relationship, time, and purpose, that's where we can have more access to our net worth, because at the end, everything that we do coming from that place of wealth will help us be aligned with functioning in life and accessing all of the things that we desire to be in the moment of life where we can access and do the things that will elevate our wealth, which eventually will elevate our net worth. So what is net worth, right? To clarify that concept, this is a formula that typically lets us, and this is just kind of like the theoretical part, we're going to get a little more into the practical stuff, but just to kind of like have the clarity and the differentiation between the concepts that I'm bringing here. Net worth is pretty much having all of your assets minus your liabilities. That's what equals your net worth. However, relationships, time, and money is also part of your net worth at ultimate place, because assets typically tends to evaluate things based on the value of money. Yet, money, as we were learning right now, is just part of the tool that we get access to things. So here's the thing with wealth, money, and abundance. Typically, the way that we can access that is many times by accessing courses when it comes to structuring, how do we do finances, we budget, we evaluate our bank accounts, we monitor how much money goes in, how much money goes out. And a lot of the focus when it comes to managing your wealth, your net worth, and abundance is fixated on all of these technical, practical stuff, which are extremely important. However, a lot of the work that we do is not necessarily directed to mindset. And this is the work that I would like to elaborate or enhance and highlight today, because I can have the best trainer in the world. I can have the best nutritionist in the world. And if I want to lose weight and having all of those resources, sometimes for a lot of people, it's not going to be enough, because the mindset is not aligned with all of the resources external to you. The first things to look at is what's going on in my mind. Am I aligned? Are my beliefs aligned to money? And here's the thing, many people have their own particular relationship with money, which they're not even aware of. There's some people that access money through other people. They feel that they cannot access it by themselves. For example, you can see this whenever is your partner is the only person that can bring money. And I'm not saying that every situation is particularly that what's happening, but for many people, if they feel that they don't have the skills or the tools to bring the exact same amount of money, their partner or their caregiver or their parents, for example, this happens when we are young as children, it's the moment where it gets developed, that type of mindset. For other people, it could be as soon as they access money, they feel that they have to spend it, because what if it doesn't come back? And this is what is happening at a subconscious level. And for others, they can have loads of money in their bank account. However, they may question every single thing that they are about to spend. is this necessary? Is this not necessary? And if they make the decision to go ahead and buy that article, that stuff, they feel that they're just are doing something wrong, or they feel the guilt, or they feel that they're spending too much. So all of these things, if they resonate with you, these are just few of the many examples that mindset around money, your relationship about money, may be interfering your access to wealth and also to increase your net worth. And the foundation of this is the abundance mindset, whether if the way that you relate to money is founded in an abundance or a scarcity mindset. So before I jump into the concept of scarcity, I would like to keep this as interactive as possible. So let's just go ahead and review a couple of statements. And I would love to hear your feedback on the text box and the chat. I always get confused with those two words. So I would love to hear your feedback on the chat box if this resonates with you, if this feels familiar for you. So here's the first statement. Constantly feeling the need to work harder. That as soon as you accomplish something, you have to keep working hard and harder and harder, and that it's not enough. Type in the chat box if this is something that sounds familiar for you. Yes. Yeah, for me, it was. I'm telling you that it did not matter how many accomplishments I had in my life. I just have to seek for the next step, and nothing I did was ever enough. The next statement, overthinking, being overly cautious and overly preparing. You want to make sure that you analyze and you evaluate every single step, that you have everything, that it's perfectly fine, that it's looking as you want, and you make corrections over and over and over again, and you go over things repeatedly. So type in if this is something that it's familiar for you. Okay, I see Sandy here say, oh yes, the first gen imposter syndrome, yes. Okay, yeah. I call it making solid moves. Yeah, Maddie Ben, absolutely. We call it many different names, so we're gonna get to that when we do that. Next statement. Not asking for help or trusting others to do their job to your standards. You seek out for help, but you are constantly reviewing whether if they're doing the job the way that you want to do. And you take pride over just like, I just like things to be done in this particular way. If not, then I'm just not going to be able to feel okay with this type of job. Is this familiar? Type in the box. If I want to done it right, I have to do it myself. Oh yes, Erika, this is so common, even more in Latino communities. I think I look back at my childhood, and that saying is just so present. That expression is always present. If you want to do things right, you have to do them by yourself, or you have to do it yourself. What about this one? Feeling small, worried, or discouraged when someone else achieves something you deeply desire. This one can be very difficult for many to admit because it's correlated somehow with envy or being jealous. However, your emotions do not care whether if you're envious or emotions, right? And sometimes we think of something and we see another person do it, and we feel that, dang it, that's what I had in mind. Now it's going to be less for me. I know for sure I've experienced this many times in my life. What about you guys? Social media. Oh, yes, absolutely. Social media is one of the main activators of this feeling and emotion. Finally, want some that doesn't resonate. Okay. Yeah, and these are different for every person. You're right, Maribel. And what about this last one? Doing everything possible to avoid failure. Right? What's your relationship with failure? What's your definition with failure? Any thoughts on this one? Oh, so scarcity versus abundance. Where are all of these thoughts coming from? they share one thing in common. All of them comes from a scarcity mindset. And many times we use so many different expressions, such as one of you, I think it was Betty Bed, highlighted, right? If I want to do something right, then I ought to do it myself. Yet deep down, your subconscious is not registering that information as such. What it's saying is, I'm not good enough to ask for help. Because many of these examples that I just provided, because there are so many different ones, is that I'm not good enough, right? They're just like founded in scarcity. They're founded in not in something missing. And they cause us difficulties in receiving. So what are the foundations of a scarcity mindset? First, it is that it's founded in survival. So whenever we are operating in survival, how can we know that? Because we feel stress, we feel overwhelmed, we feel constantly anxious, wanting to control. And there's one common denominator in all of these feelings and emotions, and is the fact that something is missing. If something is missing, then guess what? Your brain will perceive it as a threat. So therefore, it will activate your nervous system. When we function out of need, which is one of the next points that I want to highlight here, is that anything that hints need, it means that you're lacking of, that you don't have. But in reality, think about this, ladies. There are very few things that we actually need. What we need is food. We need a roof over our head. We need to sleep, right? And we need that sense of safety. Other than that, all of the things we can live without. Do you need a Toyota or do you need a Mitsubishi, right? It's not really it. And what we do is justify. When we're finding ourselves justifying the things that we do every single day in every single way, it means that it's because I need it. But in reality, it promotes that scarcity mindset. And whenever we don't have it, then it's just going to trigger our nervous system. So being aware of if the way that I perceive, the way that I talk, if I'm constantly talking, I need to do this, I need to do that, guess what? Automatically, that's going to send a message to your brain saying, alert, there's a threat, because the system is without. Your organism, your brain, it's constantly assessing the organism, which is who you are, in the environment. And as soon as it's perceiving that something is missing, guess what? It's just going to activate your nervous system. So that is a sign, that is one of the signs that you may be operating on scarcity mindset. And as I was explaining before, it's directly linked to stress, overwhelm, worries, frustration, and even disconnect with others. How was I feeling disconnected with my family? Through apathy. Because I had so much anger with like not feeling, and of course, at the moment in my life, I didn't experience as anger, but apathy was a way for me just to not feel dissatisfied after everything that I have accomplished, everything that I had in my surroundings. But guess what? I was neglecting my sense of purpose, and I was neglecting the foundational things that are part of my nature, which I'm going to elaborate more when we are in the abundance side of the mindset. Another thing is that scarcity leads to judgment and comparison. And when I talk about judgment and comparison, it's not against others. It can actually be with ourselves. When we say like, wow, I don't have this, when you look at social media and you see like everything that everyone is posting, and you're looking at their lives versus your life. Because if it's on needs, it's constantly telling you that there are limited resources. That's the basis of the scarcity mindset. That is telling you it's not enough. And once this is done, then guess what? You're left without. You know what that does to your nervous system? So in order for us to feel better, we either compare or we judge. And we even judge ourselves. We can judge others to make us feel better, or we can judge ourselves. And I'm going to share this, and this is vulnerable, but this is what we're here for. For me, I was the type of person that I was constantly comparing myself with others or others with myself, including engaging in judgment all the time, so much that I got a license for it. I got a license and became a counselor. And even though I'm still passionate about working with people, now my source is completely different. It's not one where I feel that people needed me in order for me to feel valuable. Because if others did not meet me, my clients, my husband, my daughters, then what was my purpose? What was my value? But that was what as the source of the scarcity mindset that I was operating in. Whereas now, because of tapping to an abundance mindset, regardless if someone accepts my opinions, recommendations, help, I know that that has nothing to do with who I am, my values, my worth. And I actually was able to see others' value, regardless of their acceptance of me, or their participation in my life, or their cooperation with anything that I wanted to do, or like if me saying yes or no to their demands about me. And it eliminated the sense of comparison and judgment, because I can see others' worth as equal as mine. And the thing with scarcity mindset, which comes back to the net worth and the wealth, is that it limits your potential. It limits your potential because if this is not on my hands, and then guess what? Then there's nothing that I can do with this. Well, you know what? I wasn't able to get that opportunity because this other person got it. So it's, and it limits your potential because you closed off to continue like going forward with your goals, with your inclinations, with your purpose, with your passions. Therefore, one of these statements that we were highlighting before, the sense of like not wanting to fail. So it robs you from the opportunity to see other opportunities. If this did not work, that's okay. Thank you, but like I'm just gonna keep looking, which leads us to an abundance mindset. It's founded in trust because you feel supported regardless of what's going on in your life. You feel taken care of by life. You rest assured that, you know what, I got food, I have a roof over my head. Those are the needs, right? And I get to sleep. Other than that, I am loved by life, which is very different from the initial question, where we constantly are asking, or people telling us, is like, you should be satisfied with everything that you have, right? It's completely disconnected, because this is what's missing. That abundance mindset that you trust. Whenever we're in stress, whenever we're overwhelmed, whenever we're anxious, whenever we over plan and over prepare, it's a different way of control, but it's typically founded in anxiety. And anxiety is a false sense of control. So trust, it's crucial for an abundance mindset. And the thing is that it grants you access to your authentic self. So many people and so many clients I hear over and over and over wanting to find who they truly are. And ask yourself this: if I'm operating under stress and I want to make sure that everything is perfect in my life, what do I get from that? What if it's not perfect? What does that mean? It means that I may lose my job, or it means that my boss or my partner will get upset at me. So what if they get upset at you? And I'm not saying this to kind of like, just like leave your partners, no, but just like to get to know yourself. What if they do get mad at me? What if they get upset at me? What does that mean? It means that probably they may leave you. Your relationship may not flourish, right? And this may be the responses that you are willing to listen to and sit down with yourself. And then you keep exploring. So what if they leave? What does that mean? What does life means if I don't have a partner? Well, it means that you perhaps may not be lovable. There you go. I'm not lovable. So when we tap into the abundance mindset by just like being unconditionally loving to ourselves, we get to these foundation beliefs and scarcity and get to shift them because they're not telling you the truth. The same way that when we get sick and we get a bee sting, and if you see your head swollen, if you happen to be allergic, you just don't ignore it, right? You're just like, well, I may lose my hand, but I just really have to go to the supermarket. We don't ignore it. So whenever we are not feeling optimal, whenever we're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, that's not normal either. And it's not that we will never ever want to feel that way. It's just that it requires our attention. And when we attend to it, then we elevate in abundance because then we get an opportunity to continue to know ourselves. And when we are in trust, when we feel supported, when we renovate our authentic self by honoring it, then this activates your creativity, innovation, intuition, and inspiration, which are ingredients for you to thrive, for you to expand your wealth in so many different areas, because you're coming from a place of trust. So therefore, stress, which alters the way that your organism functions by releasing adrenaline and cortisol, guess what? That it's no longer present. And you are in your natural state. That is how we activate creativity, innovation, intuition for our purpose, for our business to thrive, for our relationships to have more time, and to live in purpose. This helps improve the relationship, right? Because it sets you, your nervous system is regulated. So it's a different you. And you're in a different space. You're more open, more approachable. And it provides you the opportunity to enjoy things that typically when we're stressed and overwhelmed, we cannot enjoy because our focus is somewhere else. And of course, it expands your potential because of the previous reasons that I was highlighting. So this is how we naturally grow. And it's very different being busy by thriving and being high performers than being stressed, being busy and stressed and overwhelmed and feeling that, what am I doing all this for? So with that explained, I wanted to use this exercise as a set way for us to learn where can we start engaging in abundance mindset and actually put it into practice and creating a lifestyle around this. So I see a couple of you here that I would love to see if it's possible for you to turn on your cameras, because this is an activity that I would love to see your reactions, and we're definitely going to interact out of this. Okay. Okay. So, any questions so far? Well, you see here, let me just look at the notes. Maribel, will someone get, what was the last point? I can go quick back, absolutely. Oh, this is another slide, my apologies. Here we go. Natural growth through high performance and thriving. Also, it's my understanding that this will be recorded, so you can always go back to it and access it based on what Sandra shared with me. So that said, I hope that you guys see me well. I'm going to ask you to, all of you, lift your right hand. Lift your right hand for me. Okay, good. I'm trusting that those who do not have the camera on, they're doing the exercise. Okay, you can put your right hand down. And before I give the second instruction, I'm going to ask you in a moment to lift your right hand again. But before you do it, I want for you to count 5 seconds in your head before lifting your right hand. So I'm going to repeat the exact same question, but prior to lifting your right hand, count 5 seconds and then lift it up. Okay? Lift your right hand. Okay, perfect. I see some hands up. You can put it down again. So now in the chat, or feel free just to open your mics and share with me your responses from the questions that I'm about to ask. When you lift your right hand the first time, who gave who the order to lift your right hand? Anyone can just feel free to. Okay, yes, absolutely. I gave the order to you as an individual. Then who gave the order to the hand? Okay, so I see some people pointing at. Perfect. So the second time, I gave the order to you. However, who gave the order to the hand the second time? So you gave the order to what part of your body? The second time. And let me repeat that. The second time, you were the one to give the order to what part of your body? Feel free to.
My
I
hand.
see your Nadia, yes, to your head, right? So thank you so much. Absolutely. The first time, we still gave it to our heads, but it's just that it's so automatic, right? That I said, like, lift your right hand. We didn't overthink it. Automatically, it went up. The second time, it made it clear for us that it was the order to the mind and then the hand. But here's the thing. There's no difference between your mind and your hand. Your mind is also part of your body, such as your hand. So in reality, who gave the order was what people call the spirit, the soul, your self with capital S, that it's aside your consciousness. And in order for us to access abundance mindset, this is a crucial step and point to keep clear in our heads, because it's either the mind who's in charge or it's us. So this exercise, pretty much what it does is highlight the power of the subconscious brain and how automatic it is. The subconscious brain is in charge of every automatic response, and it never rests. So much that when you go to sleep, you feel confident that you're going to continue to breathe and your heart is going to continue just to beat. That's because the subconscious mind is nonstop working. However, your conscious mind is the one that goes to sleep. But the conscious mind only encompasses 10% of our decisions and everything that we do. In reality, it's the subconscious mind who is calling all the shots. And it happens just the way that it did with our hands. Up, okay. And we may say many things. We may say things to ourselves, you know what, I need the help. And I keep going back to this example because it's so relatable for us Latinas. I can do it myself. I don't need the help. But in reality, that it's coming from somewhere else. That is just not coming out of anywhere. For me, I know that it came out of wanting my mom to be there to help me with the homework. But guess what? She was a single mom with 4 kids that pretty much, and I can understand that as an adult, had no other option but to work a lot. And we have to do many things by ourselves. Even like go to our graduations and events in school by myself. And I remember as a child crying because I didn't want to get an F in school and the teacher because I didn't know a subject. Is that traumatic? No. Yet the brain doesn't care. Our subconscious brain does not care whether it's traumatic or not. It's just something distressing that happened at the time, enough for the brain to come with a conclusion. You know what? Your mom's not here. Your father doesn't even live with you. You see him once a year. So you have to do it by yourself. Yeah, because no one's here to help you. And then that time I did it by myself, it went okay, but then other situations, you know what, I'm gonna do it by myself again, because that not that last time it was helpful. And then I just keep doing that over and over and over and over. And I end up believing that I can do it by myself. I don't need help, or I have my standards. But deep down, the initial belief at the root is that no one's here for you when you most need them. So just the thought of opening up and becoming vulnerable that I did with my husband, like not so long ago, even having all of the knowledge and like working with clients, because I would still go up to my closet and cry alone, because I didn't want to see, like, I don't want him to see me crying. Like, God forbid, I'm a therapist. Like, I know behavior, right? My subconscious did not care. And the first time that I challenged myself and to go into my husband and say, I'm afraid, or he was like, I didn't know you were like, you would feel that way. And I'm like, wow, he doesn't even know me. That's how relationships evolve and thrive, because I get to be my true self in an abundance mindset, because I am worthy of being loved. So that exercise is so powerful in that sense, because it helps us see that beyond our body, beyond our mind, there's a conscious spirit, soul that is intended and created to help us take care of ourselves, listen to our bodies, and listen to our minds beyond what we're telling ourselves. So that said, how can we enhance, create, reap an abundance mindset? First, we want to know that exercise, what it taught us, that we are rising above our minds and our bodies. And after that, understand that everything in our surroundings, absolutely everything, it doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. It's an opportunity. Because if it triggers an emotion, guess what? It's your emotion. It's coming from somewhere. So if I hate my job, which I don't, if I hate my job, or I'm not satisfied in my relationship, or whatever struggle, distress that you're experiencing, guess what? There's something that we may be contributing to that we're not even aware of, that may be keeping that reality in our lives. If I come to you guys with this attitude like, hi everyone, yeah, would you give me one more second? Hold on, I just received a message. Can you feel that on the other side? You will feel like, that's weird, that's awkward, because we're energetic beings. So if I want to find love, but I go to parties or I go to events and I'm just like hiding behind my phone, do you think someone will feel welcomed to approach me? No, right? And then we go back into our lives and say, I don't know, I can't seem to find someone or someone that loves me. We are co-creating it all the time. So when we accept that, we escape any victim mentality that may be holding us back and limiting our potential, and open the door for empowerment. We have to be first prior to having. And this is one of the most difficult things for clients that I've seen for them, because they rely so much on the evidence in their surrounding. But let me ask you something. The share that you're sitting on, did you just create it from a mind, just came out of nowhere? No. At some point in your life, I'm pretty sure that you have to think about, like, you know what? If I'm in my office or my living room, wherever you guys are at, I would love to have a share here, right? So you have to create it in your mind first. And you will go to Amazon or to a store, and you would like think of the share, and you're like, envision yourself like, I like that share. I can definitely see myself. You have to create it in your mind first, and then you become. So the same thing is with ourselves. If you want to be confident, if you want to be a millionaire, anything that you want to be, it's like, how do we create that in our minds first? By aligning our emotions to it. And our emotions will say to us, like, that's not true. Look at your environment. But here's what you're going to tell back your emotion. My environment is part of my past. I create here, and then I get to be. but I have to become first. If not, it's not going to happen. If we function out of like, oh, I wish I've done this, or no, we have to feel first complete, that we have everything that we desire, and that just function out of wants and desires, honoring what you most want in your life by believing that you already have that. The power of the words. And this goes together with being and having, right? And I'm just gonna do another exercise with you, but you don't have to like say anything back. I just want you to experience this. If I say to you, I have to go to work, or I have to go to this meeting, versus I get to go to this meeting, I get to go to work. Type in the box which one feels different, which one felt like more welcoming from those two expressions. Or feel free to, the get to, absolutely, the get to. Why? Because get to means that it's a privilege. It has a different meaning to it. However, the I have to means that I don't want to. Guess what? Your emotions supersede it. Every word has an emotion attached to it. So absolutely evaluating the words that we use will help us also gain emotion management, because I get to pick the words that I use to my benefit. Another thing that we could do is practice intentional affirmations. So if I get nervous every time that I have to speak to a client, I'm just coming up with this. If I get nervous every time that I need to speak to a client, I can use so many different affirmations. I can use gratitude. And yes, it's going to be helpful, right? But intentional affirmations are the ones that are actually correlated and aligned to the emotion that I'm experiencing. So if I get nervous for whatever reason, speaking to a client, and I say, you know what? I'm going to be courageous, and it doesn't matter what happens. It's going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. But then you're using intentional words and affirmations that matches your situation. And after using intentional affirmations, you align your actions with those affirmations. So if it's courage, how would a courageous person act? Then even if in the face of fear, they will go ahead and go and do the thing, even when they're experiencing fear. So that's how you match the action to the intentional affirmation. Also, create space for abundance. If you have things in your life that are no longer serving you, maybe people, relationships, maybe things actually in your closet, it may be things that you are keeping in your structure, in your routine, in your calendar, that are not serving you, then it's like, how do we evaluate what serves us? By trusting the feeling, what feels right by you, and discarding and making choices to build your life around that. So that's how we create space. But if we have a relationship that it's toxic and it's just not helping us, how can you find true love, right? If we're just like giving so much space to that particular relationship. And we want to make sure that we celebrate achievements daily. Why? Because we forget, we get just so caught up on the hard work, energy, and we have to just like work hard, and I have all these things going on. Guess what? Identify at least 3 goals daily that you do. For me, because I know that I already walk and I meditate, then I include those in my daily goals. And we can have long-term goals, bigger goals, but it's like, how can we also celebrate and enjoy life as we go? And every time that I go for my walk, or every time that I sit down with my meditation practice, or practice my affirmations, or acts of random kindness, I celebrate it. I high five myself. It's how do we make that part of our daily lives? Because when we have huge goals, which I encourage, absolutely, sometimes we dismiss the smaller things that are happening in our lives that are also so fulfilling too. And you want to make sure that you cultivate the 4 freedoms that we were talking about in the beginning of the presentation, which is, yes, money, but money can also be the way that we exchange things, relationships, right? The way that we give into community, the way that we allow ourselves to receive. Money is everything that facilitates a transaction. So it's not only the dollars, in how we make space for time and how we make space for purpose and relationships. So at the end, an abundance mindset equals an improved life, an improved relationship, and improved overall well-being at a spiritual, financial, relational, social, personal, physical level. I'm open for any questions. Here's my information. Thank you so much for your attention. And let me know if you have any questions.
This was great, Rosie. I really love the hands up exercise because it makes you not just like, now I'm going to be more like, hold up, I'm going to do that thing on my time.
Yes.
That was
Sandra,
great.
did we have any questions throughout the presentation that I can go back?
I don't see any. You can we show your info slide again? Go back to that slide. Your information. Yep, 2 people, Erica and Maribel.
So I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Like, what have you heard this information before? What resonated with you? I would love to hear your feedback.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Nadia.
Yes.
Perfect,
Yes.
perfect. So I just want to say that this is awesome. I do love that you're taking the time to share this information with us. I've been working with coaches before, so some of these information that you share with us sounds familiar to me. And I just want to mention how important those tips, that's how I see how I say it, tips that you gave us are used for us since the beginning when you talk about our net worth until that activity, because all of us have different perspective, and it's wonderful when we can get together and notice that what is net worth for you, it may not be for me. Maybe, the way that you want to be successful is not the way that I am. And we all right, because we cannot be all the same, because we're not perfect, and because we all think very differently. But I just want to share that individually, those steps that you gave us are very, very helpful to be able to create the life that we want, not just at work, but your personal life. When you start accepting yourself and talk to yourself more nicely, you see more results, or more positive results with what you're doing on the daily basis. And I really appreciate that you encourage us to make a list on the daily basis, because as women, we do a lot. We're not just show up at work. We show up at work, we show up for our family, for our kids, for our friends, for our mothers, and for others. So we should, on the daily basis, just take 5 minutes and recap what you have done for yourself. And if you still have a few minutes, go ahead and, applaud yourself. Like, well, Nadia, you at least did 15 minutes of exercise. For me, it's about exercise. That's my example. People think like you have to be in the gym every day. You have to do an hour. For me, I understood that for not being a lazy person, 15 minutes will be enough. So I try to use my 15-minute break for myself and do some exercise. Some other people will be like, oh, Nadia doesn't do exercise. I do exercise. It doesn't value by the time that we do, because everyone will do differently what it counts for you. So you should always, every day make a list of what you have done and feel good for yourself, and try to repeat more or add more minutes next day. So thank you, Roselyn. This was awesome.
You're most welcome, and thank you so much for your feedback. And you're absolutely right. It's about, like you say, I'm not the type of person that goes gym for 4 hours. I just walk, even if it's for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and there's so many different ways of exercising. But at the end, it's like you said, it's building a lifestyle and honoring by celebrating those small things on a regular basis, because they can easily be dismissed, right? And the caught up in like the to-do list, that we missed opportunities in that way. So thank you so much, Nadia, for your contribution.
Of course, thank you.
Absolutely. So I had Maritza with her hand raised. Maritza, go ahead.
Rosie, what a great job and what a wonderful and important topic. And I'm trying to formulate a simple question for you, because when I am here in the room and I see the other women that are here, in your professional experience, both in therapy and in coaching, what do you say to those of us who have done a lot of work and committed to daily habits of mindset awareness, mindfulness, as someone just wrote, and being in an abundance mindset? What do you say to those of us who have done that work about what is left to do? Or is there an arrival point? Is there a point where your brain is rewired and you're like, I've arrived? Or what would you suggest to the women in the room who have done a lot of work on themselves and on their mindset?
Thank you so much for that question, Maritza. It's an amazing question. So I love that you asked it. And there's not an arriving point. There's always going to be different levels. Think about it like when I'm not sure if there's any gamers here, but I know that people, like when they're playing Candy Crush and they just like reached one level and they just like, okay, great, so another level. My daughter was telling me the other day that she was like, I don't even know what, like 400, 500 level, like what? Right? How much time are you spending there? That was my thought. But yes, but think about it that way. They're always going to be a higher level. And it's about a combination of approach and techniques that you continue to gather throughout your experiences, because mindfulness is amazing. Journaling, it's amazing. Doing diets, doing exercise, it's amazing. But alone, they're not enough, right? So there's no one thing that you can just that one thing and that for that to be enough. It's actually the lifestyle. It's really a lifestyle of doing absolutely everything that helps you keep your body in shape. I always say that exercise is the love language for the body. You know how people have the love languages in relationships, the receiving gifts and physical touch. So for exercise, for the body, it's that exercise. And also nurturing yourself with food. That's another way of telling yourself that you love yourself. Tuning in with the emotions is the part where I see that there's so much opportunity, because people get so fixated on the mindfulness, meditation, breathing exercises, working out, dieting, which are all important. But once again, it's not going to be enough if we don't dive in or give ourselves the opportunity to go into that deeper level, because at the end, it's at the subconscious. And here's what happens. I think I have like a couple more minutes because this is very important and I'm passionate about it because it's that important. Think about your conscious brain as if it were a mice. And that mice is looking towards a direction and is convinced that that's the direction that it's going. However, this mice, it's not fully aware that it's on top of an elephant who's blindfolded, walking into a different direction. So that mice has no idea that where he thinks he is going, it's not actually where he's going, because the subconscious brain is what dictates behavior and it's what called the shots. It's just that we rationalize, but that mice just like provides rationalization. But guess what? When these beliefs are formed, they happen when we were at a very young, early age where language was not fully developed and is just embedded in that emotion. So emotions like, you know what, I'm not gonna go there because I just like don't like people. I don't be surrounded by people, but that may not be the truth. That may not be the case. Or for others, I used to say like, I'm not the physical touch person. That wasn't the case. I love hugs. I love that I had to do the work because it was coming from a different place. So the power of the mice, however, is the word. And knowing this information and paying attention to the elephant's reaction through emotions and going like, okay, tell me a little bit more, where is this coming from? And then making an active choice. So that is the part in the work that I would say that it's mostly missing for many people, that can be crucial and very helpful to elevate them in their journey, because it will translate into wealth, it will translate into personal well-being, it will translate into amazing relationships. And a way of doing this is by mindfulness, is by exercising, breathing exercises, because at some point you may want to self-soothe because you're rewiring your nervous system, you're rewiring and opening your pathways. So Marissa, I hope that this was helpful.
You know,
for your
it
question.
is. That's a great answer. I wanted to contribute really concisely something that you said. You talked about movement as someone was calling exercise, which is what I call it too, moving your body each day, because we're made to move physically. And you're talking about emotions. And I kind of want to bring it together that when I started working on my mindset for abundance, I realized, having been a dancer is probably part of the reason, the professional work in my body. Your body tells you when you're uncomfortable with receiving more. Your body tells you when you are uncomfortable with all that you deserve, or at least your mind appreciating all that you deserve and desire and can and is yours. And so it's really good to check in physically. So quick example, if I walked into a very, very expensive store in the past, like high-end luxury goods, I got tense. If I went to buy something that I thought I was spending more than I should, my body constricted. It's a really good messenger, our bodies. And that's another reason it's really important to be embodied, like connected to them, because we have to go into discomfort to get comfortable with having and being more.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that contribution, Maritza. And I see that a couple of people here have to go. Absolutely, we're like 6:30 sharp. So thank you again, everyone, for joining in. And if you have any other questions, I can stick by for a couple more minutes. Feel free just to stay. And if not, hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, Rosie. And if you are in Jacksonville, because I see some names that are in Jacksonville, there is an event next week. If you're not already registered, to make sure you register for that. That's going to be awesome. And Rosie will be giving a power talk live in person on that one. So join it. It'll be fun.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing Jacksonvillians there. I'm not sure if that's even a word.
We'll be there. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. I hope you
Thank
all
you,
have a
guys.
great evening. See
You
y'all
too.
soon.
Take care, Nadia.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye, Sandra.
Bye, Nadia. Thank you guys for joining us.
Bye, ladies. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Maritza.
Bye, thank you. Bye, Sandra.
Bye.